Hi, I'm Cameron, and I just read comics. I love them. Welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about my experience at LA Comic-Con. I almost said Long Beach Comic-Con. This was one of the best cons I've ever been to, which is, I think, kind of rare for me. I go to annual conventions locally. I've been to probably at least 5 conventions off the top of my head. I think 5. I love them. I love them because I can get one-on-one time with creators, and lately I've been really focused on personal books for my collection, like what creators are going to be there, personal books for my collection that I can get signed by them. And so we have this box here, and when I get my book signed, I don't get just any book signed. I get books signed that mean a lot to me. So we have a couple CGC submissions for LA Comic-Con that I did. And so I want to walk you through the books that the 2 creators there that were most important to me before I submitted these books. First, we had Donny Cates, which is one of my favorite Marvel writers. I'm reading his Thor, reading his Hulk, I read his Venom through, his Silver Surfer Black run, his Doctor Strange I thought was amazing. So I'm a huge Donny Cates fan. Now, finding out he was going to be at the con, I'm really picky. If I like your run, I'll get the issue number 1 signed, and then that's just my taste. I also found out CGC was going to be there, so brought these books to get signed. They're not always super valuable books, but they're my favorite runs of the series. So first we had Donny Cates. Next we had Peter J. Tomasi. Now, Peter J. Tomasi is my one of, if not my absolute favorite DC Universe writer. Starting with his Batman and Robin run, that I think was the single greatest run of the New 52. Superman, I think his Detective Comics run is amazing. He did Green Lantern Corps. That's only scratching the surface. He did his Black Adam is literally the reason the movie got made. There, I said it. Not that the movie was good, and also not that they based it on his run, but that's besides the point. This isn't me hating on Black Adam. I thought it was a fine film. But when I found out those guys were going to be there, I was like, okay, I need to go through like the crevices of my collection and make sure that I can get these books signed by the people I want to get them signed by, while also being cost effective. So in this box is the CGC unboxing. I've already opened it, as you can tell, but I just want to show you. So let's start with Donny Cates. Waited in line for about half an hour for Donny Cates. I submitted 3 books for him. The first, Silver Surfer Black. Reason I chose this book was because, number one, it was the first Silver Surfer solo book I'd ever read. I like Silver Surfer now because of Donny Cates, but this is actually a really personal book for him because he was writing issue 1 when he found out Stan Lee passed away. And so he deleted everything he had written and made this book a legacy to Stan. It is an amazing book. So I realized I want to read this. I had a copy of number 1 from when I worked at a comic shop. I didn't even read it in my pull list. I read it in the big, large Treasury edition. So Donny Cates, Tradmore, more than enough reason for me to want to read this book. I also got 2 books from his Venom run signed by him. 2 keys, which are, in my opinion, Venom number 1. Like I said, I like getting number 1 signed. The key everyone thinks is Venom number 3. I was not reading. I think I picked up the series right at the beginning of Venom Island or Absolute Carnage, like right around there. It was right when I started reading it. So I found Venom number 1 at WonderCon last year, and it was like $20. I'm like, oh, I want that book. I've always wanted. I wasn't a Venom fan, and then I read that run, and it made me a Venom fan. Venom number 1 was one of those books. Then lastly, I had heard Donny Cates went to art school, and so that's where he met Tradmore. That's where he met Jeff Shaw, who are his frequent collaborators, I believe. Don't correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but respectfully. He had met those guys there, and those were his frequent collaborators. And so I said, you know what? I have these 2 books. Let me because these are runs that I knew I loved by him. Let me give him a Venom number 25 variant cover, because that was right before a big event. So I got those books both signed by him. And then next was probably the single reason I went to the convention. It was Peter J. Tomasi. Like I said, single favorite DC Universe writer. I think he's like the most underrated comic book writer, and I wanted to talk his ear off. And so I got to, which was so special. But it also taught me a valuable lesson about conventions, which is make sure that you film at the conventions. And I never do because I'm just so enamored by everyone there and I just want to talk. But I would love, my goal for this channel is to get some live coverage at these conventions, because if I can get a steady cam, put the camera on that, plug the microphone into the camera, I can get some content. So next up was Peter J. Tomasi. I got 3 books signed by him, and they're all the 3 books I've quoted you on, which are number 1, Superman #1. This was a beat up copy I found in my dollar bin. I actually found 2 of my 3 Peter J. Tomasi books in the dollar bin, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully, they'll get good grades, but if not, if any books I had signed by him, I would want these. So it is Superman #1 by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, Batman and Robin #1 by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, and then Detective Comics 994. Obviously, Superman, his run was the single best Superman run in the last decade as of this time of recording. Really excited to see what Josh Williamson has in store for us. Batman and Robin for the New 52, single best New 52 run, made Damian Wayne actually a likable character even more than his creator could. A huge feat. And then lastly, Detective Comics number 994, which is one of the most underrated Detective Comics runs ever. I also was able to buy a couple scripts from him, meaning he was selling the scripts that he had written for these issues. Not these ones entirely, but I got 2 scripts of my favorite issues. I got to talk to Peter J. Tomasi a lot. He's not a big podcast guy, and so I asked him to be on. He said yes, but ghosted me. He said, I don't usually do that thing. It wasn't even a hard yes. It was a sure. And that's okay. I literally got everything I wanted to get out of him. But if I could get 20 minutes talking with him at the con floor when nobody's at his table, not that nobody would be at his table. He had guests, but I populated a lot of his time. And I'm like, captive audience, I got to ask you all the questions I want. And so it was one of my best experiences at the con. He, frankly, was the single reason I went there, because he lives in New York. I know that because of his Twitter. Anyways, I'm a huge Peter J. Tomasi fan. Now, let's get to the unboxing. So these are in no order, but here is the CGC signed books. Oh, starting with the best one, Venom number 25. This is the highest graded book in here. Sketch by Donny Cates himself. We have a 9.8 Venom number 25 by Donny Cates. Probably now it's signed and sketched. So it's a vague little Venom sketch. I don't know if this is any good lighting, but I'll post photos of it. But yeah, one of my favorite single issues of all time. This run was amazing. This book is amazing. Number 25. It's a 9.8. So that is literally the best I could have hoped for. It's the best grade of any book in this collection. So there you go. I love it. That sketch was really nice. He didn't charge anything extra for it. Know that when you go to conventions, if you are getting a book graded, they are going to charge more. I personally am so down because I want these books mean the most to me. It's getting them authenticated and signed. So it was whatever, $20 to get him to sign it, graded, and then to go get it graded on top of that. Overall, I think all of these books graded and signed, let's say it's like $400 for these 6 books, but graded $20 a signature each. But frankly, that's worth it. That's how you get your money back. Next, we have a Peter J. Tomasi book, Superman #1. It is signed, and it's signed right here under the Superman. It's so beautiful. I love this book. It's a 7.5, not my favorite grade in the world. It's the lowest graded of all of these, but to have a book signed by Tomasi is the gold, and it's this one, and I love this cover. If I ever find a Superman #2 from this run in like a dollar bin, I'll gladly get it signed by him and Patrick Gleason. Hopefully I can get that signed by Pat Gleason, but that one had like weird, like I bought it in the used bin, but like it had like sticky like film on the cover. I don't know. So 7.5 was about best I could have hoped for. Next up, another Peter J. Tomasi book. It is Batman and Robin #1, New 52. I found this like literally a week before the convention on Black Friday. There we go. It's an 8.5. Not a bad grade at all. A couple spine ticks. A lot of spine ticks on this book. And that's what makes it go down. But there we go. 8.5. If you read any New 52 run, it should be this one. It made Damian Wayne a likable character. I love this book so much. It's so good. Next up, probably a Donny Cates book, if I was to guess. It is Silver Surfer Black #1 by Donny Cates. Art by Tradmore. CGC 9.4. Signed in silver ink by Donny, so super stoked about how that turned out. I'm really satisfied. I'm so glad I got this book signed. It's hard to get a 9.8 in all black cover, but these are really authenticated for the signatures that they have. So unless I ever find a book in this book in a better quality, signed as well by that same creator, I will get rid of it then. But if not, then I'm not going to, All right, next up is my last Peter J. Tomasi book, which is Detective Comics number 994. This is a 9.6. I think the second highest grade of the whole book. Now, this was a tough one to get signed to choose for this run, but I love Detective Comics. I asked Peter J. Tomasi his favorite Batman or his favorite DC Comics character. He's a big Spectre guy. Didn't see that coming, so it makes me want to read all the Spectre stuff. But this arc too is so freaking good, and I feel like nobody read it because everyone was building up to Detective Comics 1000. But this is the run. Then everything after that, 994 through 999, there's an arc. I need to reread it. Maybe I'll reread it and record it. But yeah, it's amazing. It's just, he's the best. And Doug Mahnke on the art, I met him right as this was coming out too. It was just awesome. I met Doug Mahnke at some convention in Minneapolis. Yeah, when I was in college. Oh, we got Venom #1. I'm really satisfied with this grade because I didn't think this book was that great of quality. Venom #1, 9.6 grade, signed. The signature looks so good too. This actually, the back of it, I accidentally bent the back, but it wasn't a color break in my bend of the back. So yeah, it worked out real nice. Venom 9.6. That is my haul from LA Comic-Con. Super stoked on all the books that I got. That's exactly how I would have wanted it. Yeah. So my name's Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them. And now you can see I collect them and I get them slabbed. Make sure to clobber those like and subscribe buttons. Maybe if you had seen these creators, what books of yours would you get slabbed? What would you want signed by these guys? You now know what I would have had priority signing, and it is these. Yeah, make sure to let me know. I'll see you guys next time.